You know that feeling? You sit down at your desk, books open, laptop ready. You're determined to finally get this studying done. But within minutes, your brain feels like it's pushing against a brick wall. It's heavy, it's foggy, and every single notification, every chore, even just staring out the window, suddenly seems infinitely more interesting than the work in front of you. I used to think this was just a lack of discipline, a character flaw, that I was just lazy, so I'd force myself. I'd sit there for hours in a state of miserable resistance, barely retaining anything. It was exhausting. And the worst part? I started to dread learning. Something I used to enjoy felt like a punishment. But what if I told you that the problem wasn't your willpower? The problem was the strategy. What if studying could feel different? Not just manageable, but actually engaging, maybe even a little bit addictive? That's exactly what happened to me. I discovered a way to reframe the entire process, and it changed everything. In this video, we're going to break down the 5 key shifts I made. These aren't about grinding harder. They're about working with your brain's natural wiring, not against it. By the end, you'll have a clear blueprint to transform your study sessions from a chore you avoid into an activity you might even look forward to. Let's get into it. Secret number 1. The power of the just started effect. We've all heard of the Zeigarnik effect, right? It's this psychological principle that our brains hate unfinished tasks. They stick in our heads, creating a kind of mental tension. But here's the mistake I was making. I was starting with the biggest, hardest, most complex task, and my brain would just shut down. The mountain was too high to climb. The trick is to hack this effect. You don't start with the mountain. You start with the first, tiny, almost laughably small step. For me, that meant changing my to-do list from study chapter 5 to open notebook to chapter 5, or from write essay to write the first sentence of the introduction. It sounds too simple, right? But here's the magic. Once you've taken that first tiny step, the mental block is gone. The task is officially in progress. And your brain, wanting closure, will naturally pull you to take the next step. And the next, it's like a psychological cheat code. You're not convincing yourself to run a marathon, you're just tying your shoes. And once your shoes are tied, going for a short jog feels a lot more possible. Secret number 2, gamify your progress. We love games because they give us instant feedback. Points, levels, progress bars. Our brains get a little hit of dopamine every time we see that we're moving forward. Studying usually doesn't have that. It's a long, gray road with no mile markers. So I decided to build my own game. I got a pack of simple index cards. Every single small task went on a card. Read pages 10-15. Summarize key concepts. Solve 5 practice problems. Watch 1 lecture video. I'd lay them all out on my desk. And my only goal for the session was to move cards from the to-do pile to the done pile. The physical act of moving that card. It's a tiny win, a tangible visual representation of progress. And that tiny win fuels the motivation for the next one. You can do this digitally too with apps like Trello or Notion, but there's something about the physicality of it that really worked for me. It turned my study session from an abstract concept into a series of clear, achievable quests. And who doesn't love completing a quest? Secret number 3, the Pomodoro technique, but make it fun. You've probably heard of the Pomodoro technique. 25 minutes of work, 5-minute break. It's a great framework. But for me, the 25-minute work block could still feel like a prison sentence if I didn't handle the break properly. My old mistake? I'd take a break and scroll through social media. And what happens? Your brain gets sucked into a bottomless pit of content. Dragging it back to studying after that is a battle. So, I reframed the break. The break isn't just a pause from work. It's a reward for work. I'd make a deal with myself. After this 25-minute session, I get to have that 1 piece of dark chocolate I love. Or, I get to step outside and feel the sun on my face for 5 minutes. Or, I get to listen to my favorite song. The key is that the reward is immediate, certain, and genuinely enjoyable. This does something powerful. It starts to associate the work itself with the positive feeling of the reward that follows. You're not just working to finish the task, you're working to get to that little moment of pleasure. It conditions you to see the study session as the gateway to something good. Secret number 4, create a flow trigger. You know that state of flow, where you're so absorbed in an activity that you lose track of time? It usually happens when we're playing sports, or creating art, or playing an instrument. We can create conditions that make flow more likely during studying. The two biggest triggers for flow are clear goals and immediate feedback. We already tackled the clear goals with our gamification index cards. Immediate feedback is the next piece. This is why passive reading is so hard to get into flow with. You're just absorbing. There's no feedback loop. But active recall, practice problems, self-quizzing, that's all immediate feedback. You either know the answer or you don't. Your brain gets instantly engaged in the puzzle of it. I started structuring my sessions around this. I'd spend the first 10 minutes quickly skimming the material, and the next 40 minutes only doing practice questions or trying to write everything I could remember on a blank sheet of paper. It was frustrating at first. I'd get things wrong, but the challenge of it? It was like a puzzle, and my brain wanted to solve it. That struggle, that engagement, is the doorway to flow. Secret number 5, the power of the progress journal. This was the final, and maybe most important, piece for me. At the end of every single study day, I would open a dedicated notebook and write down just 1 or 2 sentences. I'd answer 2 questions. What is one specific thing I learned today? And what is one small way I improved from yesterday? It could be anything. Today I finally understood how cellular respiration works. Or, I managed to complete 1 more Pomodoro session than I did last Tuesday. This does 2 incredible things. First, it fights the I'm not getting anywhere feeling. When you feel like you've made no progress, you can flip back through this journal and see in your own handwriting all the tiny steps you've actually taken. It's proof. And second, it ends your study session on a note of accomplishment. You're not slamming the book shut in frustration. You're calmly reflecting on a win, no matter how small. It leaves a positive taste in your mouth, making you more likely to want to come back tomorrow. Now, as you try this, there are a couple of things to watch out for. The biggest pitfall is taking the tiny step idea and using it as an excuse. Oh, my task was just to open the book and I did it. Now I'm done. That's missing the point. The tiny step is a catalyst, not the finish line. The goal is to use its momentum to keep going. Another common mistake is making your rewards too big or too distracting. Your reward shouldn't be watch 1 episode of a Netflix show, because we all know 1 episode turns into 3. Keep the reward small and contained. A 5-minute reward should only last 5 minutes. And finally, don't try to implement all 5 of these strategies at once. That's a recipe for overwhelm. Pick the one that resonates most with you. Maybe it's the gamification with index cards. Maybe it's the rewarding Pomodoro breaks. Start with one. Get good at it. Let it become a habit. Then layer in another. This is a system, and systems are built brick by brick. So let's quickly recap the 5 shifts that can make studying feel more addictive. 1. Hack the just started effect. Start with a step so small it's impossible to say no to. 2. Gamify your progress. Use visual tools like index cards to turn work into a series of winnable quests. 3. Make your breaks a reward. Condition your brain to associate study sessions with immediate small pleasures. 4. Create flow triggers. Focus on active recall and practice problems for immediate feedback and deep engagement. And 5. Keep a progress journal. End each day by documenting a small win to build a long-term sense of momentum and accomplishment. This isn't about becoming a perfect robotic studying machine. It's about changing the emotional experience of learning from one of dread to one of, well, maybe not addiction, but certainly engagement and satisfaction. I know the struggle is real. I was there for years. But you have the power to change the script, to take back control, and it starts with one tiny step. So here's your first one. In the comments below, I want you to tell me, which one of these 5 strategies are you going to try first? Just writing it down makes it more real, and if this video helped reframe things for you, and you want more content like this, content that helps you work with your brain, not against it, then hitting that like button and subscribing would mean a lot. It helps this channel grow, and it tells me what kind of content to make more of for you. Next week, we're going to talk about another big idea: how to never feel overwhelmed by a huge project again. It builds directly on what we talked about today. But for now, pick one thing and go try it. Thanks for watching. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being a little bit better than you were yesterday. I'll see you in the next one.